Picture this. There's a radio station that's been broadcasting nonstop for over 50 years, day and night, without interruption. But it doesn't play music. It doesn't broadcast news. There are no conversations. Just a monotonous, repetitive, hypnotic sound. A buzzing that echoes into the void. And nobody knows exactly why. Today we're diving into one of the most disturbing mysteries of the modern era. UVB-76, also known as the buzzer. A Russian ghost radio that's defied explanation for decades. Somewhere in the depths of Russia, a radio frequency emits an unmistakable sound pattern. 25 tones per minute. A mechanical buzz, cold, almost alien. For most people, this would mean nothing. But for radio enthusiasts around the world, this transmission has become an obsession. UVB-76 began being officially monitored in 1982, but there are reports suggesting it existed even before that. Throughout all these years, the buzzing has continued. Constant, relentless, like an electronic heartbeat pulsing in some forgotten corner of the world. But here's what makes this absolutely fascinating. Occasionally, the buzzing stops, and then a voice emerges. Russian voices, usually male, pronouncing sequences of seemingly random words, names, numbers, codes, and then the buzzing returns, as if nothing had happened. Let's talk about one of these transmissions that became famous. In 2010, after years of almost absolute silence, a voice emerged from the static. Yeah, UVB-76, 18,008. Bromel, 74279914. Boris, Ramon, Olga, Mikhail, Anna, Larisa. And then silence again. What does this mean? Could it be a military code? Coordinates? Agent names? The listener community went into a frenzy trying to decipher it. Some suggested the numbers could be geographic coordinates. Others thought they might be encoded dates or times. And the names? Could they be initials of something bigger? A hidden acronym? To this day, nobody's found a definitive answer. If you're enjoying this story, hit that like button now. It helps more people discover these mysteries with us. Theories about UVB-76's purpose are abundant, and each one is more intriguing than the last. The most widely accepted theory is that it's a Russian military communication system, possibly part of the Dead Hand network, an automatic nuclear retaliation system designed to function even if Russia's entire leadership were eliminated in an attack. The constant buzzing would be a way of keeping the channel open, ensuring it's always functional in case an urgent message needs to be transmitted. Think about that for a moment. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union developed systems designed to ensure that even in a scenario of total annihilation, nuclear retaliation would be automatic. The idea was simple but terrifying. If you attack us, we all die. It's the doctrine of mutually assured destruction taken to the extreme. UVB-76 could be a component of that system. The continuous buzzing would be like a heartbeat, proving the system is alive. If the buzzing stopped, it could signal that something catastrophic had happened. And then, specific protocols would be triggered. It's a dark idea, but plausible. Others believe it's a number station, used to send coded messages to field operatives. During the Cold War, these stations were extremely common. The logic was brilliant in its simplicity. Anyone with a radio receiver can pick up these transmissions, but only those with the encryption key can understand the messages. It's communication in plain sight, yet completely inaccessible. Number stations were used by practically every major power. The CIA had several, British MI6 as well. East Germany's Stasi was particularly prolific. But after the Cold War ended, most of these stations were shut down. UVB-76 wasn't. It continued. And it continues to this day. This raises a disturbing question. Why is it still necessary? The Cold War ended over 30 years ago. The Soviet Union collapsed. The world changed. But UV-B76 remains, buzzing without pause. This suggests that whatever its purpose is, it's still relevant, still important, still secret. There are also more sinister theories. Some believe the station is part of a large-scale experiment. There are unverified reports that specific radio frequencies can affect human behavior, influence mood states, even induce specific physical sensations. Could UV-B76 be an ongoing test of these capabilities? A psychological or physiological experiment operating for decades without public knowledge? Others go even further, suggesting connections to secret underground installations. During the Soviet era, the USSR built numerous underground cities, deep bunkers, and hidden military facilities. Many of these structures were never officially acknowledged, and presumably some are still operational. Could UV-B76 be a means of communication with these installations? A technological umbilical cord connecting the surface world with something buried deep below? And then there are the truly bizarre theories. Some UFO enthusiasts suggest the frequency is used for communication with non-human entities. Others believe it's a technological portal, a bridge between dimensions. These theories are obviously highly speculative and lack any concrete evidence. But they exist, and they have their passionate defenders. What we know for certain is that the physical origin of the transmission was triangulated. In 2010, a group of radio enthusiasts tracked the signal to a military base near the city of Povorovo, about 40 kilometers northeast of Moscow. These investigators weren't professionals. They were just people fascinated by the mystery, armed with radio equipment and determination. They even visited the abandoned location where they believed the station was operating. And what they found was deeply disturbing. Buildings in ruins, broken windows, obsolete equipment scattered across the floor, walls covered with names and dates written by hand, as if someone had been marking shifts or recording events. There were even children's drawings on one of the walls, suggesting military families had lived there at some point. But the strangest thing was that despite the visible abandonment, the transmission continued. The investigators could hear the buzzing on their receivers, clearly coming from that location. How was this possible? If the place was abandoned, who was keeping the equipment running? Who was powering the station? Later, the signal appeared to move to another location near St. Petersburg. Was the station migrating? Or were there multiple sources transmitting under the same identifier? This opened up a whole new layer of mystery. Perhaps UV-B76 isn't a single station, but a network. A distributed system with multiple transmission points, all coordinated somehow. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of UV-B76 isn't what it transmits, but what it represents. A system functioning without apparent supervision. A voice speaking to no one, or to someone we cannot see. A constant reminder that there are layers of reality operating beyond our comprehension. And then there are the mistakes. Yes, mistakes. On several occasions, the transmission picked up sounds that clearly shouldn't have been there. And these moments are absolutely fascinating because they give us a rare glimpse of what's happening on the other side. In a transmission from 1997, someone could clearly be heard coughing and shuffling papers. The sound was unmistakable. Someone was in the transmission room, completely unaware that the microphone was open. For a few precious seconds, listeners around the world could hear the mundane reality behind the mystery. A real person, probably bored, maybe reading something, completely oblivious to the fact they were being heard by thousands. In 2003, there was another incident. Distant conversations were picked up. Male voices speaking in Russian, discussing something banal. The audio was poor, distorted, but fragments could be understood. Something about food, a complaint about the cold, laughter. It was surreal. Here was this cosmic mystery, this enigmatic transmission that had baffled experts for decades. And suddenly, you are hearing someone complain about lunch. In 2013, Russian music briefly leaked onto the frequency. It was a pop song, modern, completely out of place. It lasted only a few seconds before the buzzing returned, but it was enough time to be recorded and analyzed. Someone, somewhere, was listening to the radio while working and forgot to turn it off. These moments are crucial because they prove something fundamental. UVB76 is operated by humans, distracted humans, tired humans, humans who sometimes forget the microphone is on. This debunks some of the more exotic theories. It's not a fully automated system. It's not operated by artificial intelligence. They're real people, somewhere, keeping this transmission alive. But this brings us to a fundamental question. If UVB76 really is a strategic military tool, why would it be so careless? Military operations, especially those involving secret communications, are notoriously rigorous. Protocols are followed to the letter. Mistakes are unacceptable. And yet, UVB76 is full of them. Could it be incompetence? Perhaps. Long-term operations, especially those in remote locations with personnel rotation, can become complacent. People get bored. Protocols are relaxed. Mistakes happen. Or could it be intentional? Some analysts suggest these mistakes are deliberate, designed to make the station appear less important than it really is. If you want to keep something secret, one of the best strategies is to make it seem insignificant. Make it seem amateur. Make it seem like a mistake. It's psychological camouflage. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the mysteries we bring you every week. UVB76 isn't alone. There are other similar stations, collectively known as number stations. And each one has its own bizarre character, its own strange personality. There was the Lincolnshire Poacher, a British station that played the first notes of the folk song with the same name before transmitting numbers. The melody was cheerful, almost comical, a surreal contrast to the sinister nature of the transmission. It operated for decades before being deactivated in 2008. But while it was active, it was one of the most consistent and professional. There was Yosemite Sound, an American station that played the cartoon character's voice, saying "varmint" before its messages. It was bizarre. It was disturbing. It was quintessentially Cold War, using American pop culture as an identifier for an espionage operation. There's the Pip, another Russian station, which instead of a buzz, emits a short, sharp sound like a whistle. And there are dozens of others, each identified by nicknames given by the listener community. The Swedish Rhapsody, the Gong Station, Magnetic Fields, all mysterious, all without official explanation. But none captured the popular imagination like UVB76. Maybe it's the longevity. Maybe it's the transmission frequency. Or maybe it's simply the sound, that endless buzzing that seems to echo from the void, from nowhere and everywhere at the same time. Over the years, entire communities have formed around monitoring UVB76. Reddit has multiple subreddits dedicated to it. Specialized forums discuss each transmission in excruciating detail. There are even live streams on the internet where you can listen to UVB-76 in real time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Thousands of people around the world regularly tune into the frequency, waiting to capture the next voice transmission. When it happens, the messages are dissected, analyzed, debated. Every word is studied. Every number is scrutinized. Patterns are searched for. Connections are drawn. But so far, no definitive pattern has emerged. No revelation has occurred. Some have literally dedicated their lives to this pursuit. There's one man, known online only as Enigma 2000, who maintains one of the most complete archives of number station transmissions in the world. His work is meticulous, almost obsessive. He's cataloged thousands of transmissions from dozens of different stations over decades. And yet even he admits that UVB76 remains fundamentally inexplicable. There's something deeply human about this obsession. We don't like unsolved mysteries. Our brains are pattern recognition machines, constantly searching for meaning in chaos. We want answers. We want to know. And when confronted with something that defies explanation, we simply can't let it go. It's almost like an itch that can't be scratched, an enigma that can't be ignored. Psychologists call this need for cognitive closure. It's a fundamental drive, present in all humans, though stronger in some than others. And UVB76 represents the absolute opposite of closure. It's a question without an answer, a mystery without a solution, a locked door without a key. There have been moments over the years that seemed promising. In 2009, there was a sudden increase in voice activity. More transmissions than normal, more messages. Some speculated this was connected to geopolitical tensions at the time. Russia was involved in conflicts in Georgia. Relations with the West were tense. Perhaps UVB76 was being used to coordinate something. But then, nothing. The transmissions returned to normal pattern. The buzzing continued. Whatever the reason for the increased activity, it remained obscure. In 2014, during the crisis in Ukraine, there was another spike. Again, speculation ran wild. Was UVB76 part of the Russian military communication infrastructure involved in the conflict? Was it being used to transmit orders? To coordinate movements? But again, no confirmation, no proof, just speculation. What makes UVB76 so frustrating is that it exists in a liminal space. It's too well known to be completely secret, but too secret to be completely known. Everyone knows it exists. Anyone with a radio receiver can hear it. But what it means, what its purpose is, who operates it, that remains inaccessible. It's like we're looking through a foggy window. We can see that something's there. We can see the shape, the outline, but the details remain obscure. And no matter how much we try to clean the glass, it remains opaque. So what is UVB76 really? A military communication system? Very likely. A Cold War relic that continues functioning through inertia? Possibly. An abandoned experiment that continues operating automatically? Maybe. Or something completely different, something we haven't yet conceived. We can't rule it out. The truth is, we may never know. And perhaps that's exactly what makes UVB76 so fascinating. In a world where almost everything can be researched, analyzed, and explained in seconds, where privacy is nearly impossible and secrets are increasingly rare, here's something that resists comprehension. A pure enigma, a genuine mystery, proof that there are still things in this world we don't understand. There's something almost romantic about it. In an age of forced transparency and omnipresent surveillance, UVB76 is a reminder that secrets can still be kept, that mysteries can still exist, that not everything needs to be explained. Right at this moment, as you're hearing these words, UVB76 is transmitting. The buzzing continues, 25 tones per minute, echoing through radio waves, crossing continents, passing over mountains and oceans, reaching ears in every corner of the planet, waiting, always waiting. Somewhere in Russia, maybe in an underground bunker, maybe in a remote military installation, maybe in a location we don't even suspect, there's equipment transmitting this signal. There's perhaps one person sitting in a room, monitoring instruments, bored probably, waiting for something to happen, waiting for an order, waiting for a message that needs to be sent. And who knows? Maybe today's the day the voice returns. Maybe today's the day it says something different, something revealing, something that finally makes it all make sense. Or maybe the buzzing simply continues, forever. A sound without an answer, a question without an end, an eternal mystery. If this story fascinated you as much as it fascinates me, drop a comment. Do you think UVB76 is military, paranormal, or something completely different? Have you ever tried listening to the transmission yourself? And don't forget to share this video with someone who loves a good mystery. Because at the end of the day, what makes life interesting isn't the answers we find, but the questions we keep asking. Until the next Enigma.